Ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, people of all fandoms, welcome to the Ferret and Raccoon podcast, episode 20. I am the Angry Raccoon.
And I am Ace.
And we are back for the somewhat start of the dark month, being October, leading up to the event that Tumblr loves, Halloween.
I think everyone loves it.
Everyone loves Halloween, but I would say Tumblr loves it more.
Yeah, just a bit. Like, it goes over the top on there.
Just...
Like, your dashboard would just be full of the Skeleton Man and the Pumpkin Man.
Basically, but I can understand why it's, I mean, the whole point of October and Halloween is to, usher in the fact that it's getting darker and to somewhat shoo away those demons and spirits, so...
Yeah, the original thing behind it, just ward off demons.
Yeah, pretty much. That's probably why a lot of people, strong Christians, probably don't like it, because... I don't know, they're very particular when it comes to whether they believe in something and don't believe in something.
Yeah.
A bit backwards, but this is not the religious podcast. This is the fun, happy times, to some extent, podcast.
I thought we were going to do some amens in a minute.
That's after.
Oh, okay.
That's after. But, yes, so we are back for episode 20, hopefully trying to hit 30 by the end of this year, but it's probably not going to happen. But we'll see. So 20 is fairly significant. That's like almost most of our listener base's ages, I would guess.
Yeah, possibly.
So I'd imagine once you reach 20, you'll at least have common knowledge.
Nice average of the audience.
I'd say. But we got a fairly interesting podcast to start. But before we do that, we're going to start it off with just a quick update on life and things and what we've been watching, what we've been doing. If you hadn't watched the previous podcast, we've moved the Guess What I've Been Watching section to the beginning, so that it feels a little bit more, come on, have an introduction with us to some extent. So I guess I'll start with Ace, and I'll ask, what have you been watching or doing over the last, 2 weeks?
Well, just in general, I've been extraordinarily lazy. Whether that's quite different for me compared to people who know me is not too much, but it's led me to watch a few good shows, a few good films, and one that I've recently started watching, Space Dandy.
Space Dandy, yeah.
The dandy guy in space.
He's a dandy guy in space.
That intro sold me alone. Just those words. I was
just those 3 seconds, yes.
Yeah. I was like, okay, I'm watching this now. And I'm at episode 7 of the first season, which one episode blew my mind. I'm not going to spoil that because it's great. Basically, the premise is a fun space-like adventure, very, very mature in some ways. It's like, obviously, you got references to body parts, etc., but... the main character is an alien hunter.
Yes.
And he's basically going around trying to find aliens that haven't really been registered and take them to a registry office to get money. He's very, it's very 70s.
Yes, there is a lot of theming. So, just so that people know, I've watched both seasons. I watched it back when it first debuted, the tail end of beginning of last year, and second season, tail of last year. But, it does have that kind of vibe, because I also regard it as almost like a space opera to some extent.
Yes,
how it's presented, and there's going to be a couple episodes later on in the series for you and anyone who's interested in watching, which do really grab that space opera feel, especially when you see the main villain.
Is this Admiral Perry?
We have characters like Admiral Perry and characters like that. The very clever reference to one of the main villains after our hero. Which will be in a reference. If you don't get, then you need to watch more films.
Yeah.
But
also, I love that they're called the guys after Space Dandy. They're called the Go-Go Empire.
Go-Go Empire, yeah.
It's great, absolutely great.
And then it's like the opposing one is the Gyro Empire or something like that.
I think so, yeah. But it's at one point, I'm sorry, I just have to say this bit. It's very easy, but at one point it's we're lucky we used Google Galactic Street View, and it's just what the hell. That's the kind of humour you get from this. The
series doesn't take itself very seriously, but when it does, it pays off.
Yes.
For the most part. I mean, a lot of people... I think if anyone is interested in watching it or have heard about it and was interested in watching it, I would say it may be best to watch all of Cowboy Bebop first, and this is coming from the same STEM, I think, creator, and I think production-wise as well. I think it may be the same studio, but... definitely give that series a watch, mainly because it's a classic, and second of all, one episode particular will make a lot of sense when it comes to watching Space Dandy. If you wanted to, you could just watch that one episode, then watch Space Dandy. But yes, it is a good series.
Very fun.
We both recommend it. I think it's a really good. No offense to anyone who doesn't. No offense to you. It's a good anime to start with if you want to get into anime.
Okay.
Definitely really good. It's just fun.
I'd actually say that as well. I agree. If you're not too big of an anime fan, then
yeah, there's nothing wrong with that.
Yeah.
You don't need to force yourself to like something like that.
Yeah.
I mean, you know, my guide when it comes to like watching, you know, getting into anime or manga is like, you know, just start with Ghibli when you want to watch the films. Watch those films. Watch a couple series. Just literally start, as much as people may bash on them, start with One Piece, Bleach, or Fairy Tail, and then move on from them. Keep the one you love, and then go on.
I think the one that mostly got me, like I watched quite a lot of Ghibli when I was a child with my brother, but the thing that actually got me properly into anime was Death Note, and it's still my favourite.
Death Note's a good one to start with as well.
Yeah.
I mean, this is a topic we could come back on or make a video on, so we'll just leave it at that. That's only step one of how to anime.
Yeah, exactly. How to do anime. Watch Space Dandy.
I mean, it's good because not all the time we actually watch a show. We actually talk about a show we've both been watching, and I mean, I know a little bit more about Space Dandy. I've been meaning to pick up the second volume of it because I got the first just on my shelf over there, and I would recommend getting it on Blu-ray because you get the art book with it. Yeah, you get the art book with it, which has like a lot of the illustrations, so you see the production behind it, which I can't remember who actually released it, but the studio or the production team who released it in English, A-star on how they released it. They released the Cowboy Bebop one, Gurren Lagann, they released the Perfect Blue one. They're releasing a lot of really animes I like to watch, so if you can, they are quite pricey, but I understand why they need to be pricey, because you are getting it on Blu-ray, high quality in English both, and an art book as well, so you know, I would say wait for the price to drop down to at least maybe 40-30. You'd be good. But especially the Gurren Lagann ones, where the whole series is going to cost you like about 130. So
oh wow,
yes, due to licensing issues, they can't release it in a full package.
Yeah,
which is a bit annoying.
It's a bit ridiculous.
But it's great. I mean, I love the characters. So you got Dandy, as you mentioned. You got
QT,
QT,
my favourite,
who is basically just a outdated iPod.
Yeah, but it's great. Like, it's a nice like joke there. It's like literally the letters Q and T, and then it's QT because it's cute.
Basically, I mean, just to borrow one person's like impressions from the series, I love how he regards. When talking about the one thing that's interesting about this series was it was the first anime to air in America before Japan by at least I think a few days. Yes,
wow.
It aired in English first,
okay,
because it was simultaneously made at the same time, which is a very smart thing to do within this industry and time. Yeah. I hope more animes try and achieve this goal because it paid off very well for the series.
I would love that.
And the Japanese and English, you can't go wrong.
Okay.
Don't worry about it, guys. And as well, I think just going back to QT, his voice is obviously got auto-tune on it, but in the Japanese he doesn't.
Oh, okay.
So one person already said, well, his voice is auto-tuned in English, so default English wins.
Yeah, I agree. The English voice, if it's auto-tuned, then it's about one because it's adorable. And
you also got Meow.
Oh yeah.
Or I won't say his real name, despite the fact I can't pronounce it. But
I don't. I was about to try it, but I don't want to embarrass myself.
It's a very common name from his home planet.
Yeah.
Which says a lot. But great series overall. I think we both recommend it.
Mm-hmm.
I've also been watching animes as well. I've been.
What have you been watching?
I've been watching 2.
Okay.
And the only reason I link both 2 of them is because something very funny happened in between the watching of both of them, and that was I watched both seasons / parts of Spice and Wolf, which is essentially a slice of life, romantic, somewhat comedy that deals in somewhat olden times, where it has that kind of setting, a lot of money talk and sales, not necessarily salespersons, but merchant talk and dialogue, which I will say for the first season can be a bit off-putting when like one of the major plots is, oh no, I bought something that you can't sell anymore, and it's like, oh no. Can we get back to one of the bigger selling points being the fact that he is traveling with a wolf girl
Okay.
Without giving away too many spoilers. Yeah, she is the hence the name Spice and Wolf. I won't mention where the spice comes from. That is revealed later on in the first series. But yeah, he's traveling with this character called Holo, who is a god to some extent of a wolf, and she's just traveling with him because she wants to, and she is a character for the most part. One thing I will say, if people do want to watch this series, if it does look interesting to you, some people may think it has fan service despite the fact she's naked in the first time you see her, but you don't see anything.
That's also something.
She's a wolf / goddess. She wouldn't have anything for you to see.
I'd say similar disclaimer for Space Dandy. A lot of fan service, but it's played for jokes. But it's done in the jokey kind of sense. It's played for jokes. So I
mean, one of the characters called Honey, she's just there, and there's points in season 2 where it's just like she's doing ridiculous stuff while spouting off dialogue, and you're like, why? It just cuts to her arse, and it's just like, okay.
It is played for laughs, let it go with it and see what it does, because it's not just there for people to ogle. No,
it's there to kind of be referential and just kind of say, oh, well, we got to have obligatory fan service. It's not fan servicey. Yeah. You can put it there. I don't really call it that. The only reason it's rated the way it is because there's a bit of blood in it. That's all.
Yeah.
It's, I wouldn't worry about it. If you do watch it and you're not enjoying season 2, stick with it.
Okay.
Season 2 is a lot better. When it comes to storytelling, animation, production, everything gets a lot better. I'd recommend it. And the other one I want to recommend is Durara, or however you want to say, or Dur, as some people want to say.
Didn't someone call it Duran Duran or something?
You can call it Duran 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 if you want to.
Okay.
I guess that's just a funny English interpretation of saying it, but it's basically Durara, or as every time when it cuts to break, it just goes on and on and on each time, which is a bit ridiculous.
You could call it like do ra ra ra.
Do ra ra ra, dra dra. I'd like to call it dra dra or dr.
Yeah.
As it's said in many points, but it's a series that basically follows the life of a couple characters within one city. As it's quite hard to explain because usually a lot of animes sometimes have a certain gimmick or kind of flavor, but it is somewhat slice of life. But it's mainly character and story orientated, as it's following 3 main characters who are all linked to other characters within a city, and it's very clever the way they link every character together. I mean, one of the main selling points, I guess you could say, is the fact that there's this character in a black suit, black bike with a yellow helmet with like comical cat ears on it, and known as the Black Rider, and that's like, I guess, the cool selling point. If you like the idea of this character who's just known as the Black Rider, just in this city, just around, or maybe there's a supernatural feel to it or whatever.
That's the kind of thing that sold it to me, that I'm going to watch it for, because I saw just the helmet and the outfit and it was like, I need to. This looks cool.
It's a very popular anime and it's very good. I mean, I really like, they really juggle a lot of like story arcs and character development. They do it really well for the most part. At some point it does get a little confusing, especially when they introduce a plot point very early on in the I was going to say first series, but it's one self-contained series.
Okay.
They introduce a plot point very briefly, and then like literally 15 episodes later they return to it. So that can be a bit awkward. So I would, if you are going to watch a series, just continuously watch it.
Yeah.
Because the last thing you want to do is take a break and then be like, what? When was this happening? That's partly why they have a flashback within the opening, just to refresh you to go, remember this plot, we're talking about this.
It does it in a proper way, not as in halfway through the episode we flashback.
No.
Something.
The episode does use flashbacks, but they do it to explain certain points. Like the first episode is a great example where the main character, he comes to this town, he's with his friend, they're meeting other people, but yet you see other things going on, but you're like, oh, okay. For example, his best friend says, oh, if you see this one character, stay away from him, he's trouble. And then you see a freaking soda machine fly up in the air and a guy running away. And you're like, okay. But in the second episode, you see what exactly was going on there.
Oh, isn't that called like Rashomon storytelling, where it's like showing it from a different perspective in a way?
To some extent, it does do that, but not for the whole entirety. Yeah. It's not going to get to a certain point and then go, all right, stop. Yeah. Let's explain. Let's go back to it. No, it does it very briefly, but that was just one example I was using in the way it does its storytelling. the main reason I wanted to talk about both is because within the first episode of Dur, two characters are seen with a cutout pin-up of Holo from Spice and Wolf, which threw me the hell off because I thought someone was playing a prank on me because I literally just finished Spice and Wolf the day before I started watching it, and I was like, why is Holo in my anime?
That's brilliant.
It was, and they don't reference her, they don't say her name enough, she's just there.
Yeah.
And I was just like, okay.
That's pretty cool. I mean, you know the Rider character you were saying about?
Yes.
I think in one of the Catwoman comics, like the early ones, there was a reference to that character because Catwoman's wearing a similar helmet, which is a nice little touch. I mean, some of the comic writers have been doing nice touches, like references to animes.
You'll have to like show me that just because I know what's up with that character and other characters just to see if
I think
they're making a bigger reference or they just took inspiration.
I think it was just like Catwoman wearing a helmet, like a motorbike helmet and it had the ears and everything and stuff.
Okay.
But yeah, it was a little reference.
That's fine. I won't divulge into spoilers.
Yeah.
But let's start with some topics, since we've talked quite a bit already, and we're going to start off with once again for the third podcast we have more news on Nickelodeon and its plans for its Halloween. So
they want to stay a regular.
Well, do you blame them?
No,
I don't.
Get everything out there.
I mean, so Nickelodeon said, we mentioned before that their 90s block, which is going to be going up through the 90s, and we've got more confirmation on that, and that's the fact it's going to start the 5th of October, which should be the day the podcast goes up, if all works out. And so it's essentially the Splat section, which is going on from, like I said, 5th of October on Nick Teen. So I'm not sure if this implies to English viewers, but this is regarding American viewers. I don't think we have a Nicktoon on English televisions, but essentially the block will be starting from will be an 8-hour block, rotating from about 10 p.m. to 6 a.m.
Wow. Okay.
Yes, throughout all of October, which is pretty great. There'll also be a new multi-screen content destination spanning television, basically, which basically that means that they're going to be having this promoted on different platforms like Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, and I believe they are also going to be having their own site dedicated to just 90s cartoons and beyond, which you can also have your input on there, which is the big project already. This sounds like a massive marketing kind of stunt, and I'll kind of talk about that fairly briefly right at the end regarding the video of the week. So I think the main thing a lot of people want to know is what exactly are they going to be showing. So apparently a few of the shows they're going to be showing are the series announced, if I just read off the list, because I was not going to put this down on the notes because it was too much. So as far as we know, we have All That, Angry Beavers, Are You Afraid of the Dark, Cat Dog, Cassandra Explains It All, Hey Arnold, Hey Dude, Kenan and Kel, Ren and Stimpy, Legends of the Hidden Temple, Rocko's Modern Life, Rugrats, Salute Your Shorts, and The Wild Thornberries. That is confirmed so far.
A lot of good stuff there.
Yeah, so that's a good array of cartoons. I think they may be missing a few 90s ones, but that's as far as I know as of writing the the notes up. They also have like somewhat themed weeks so far. Like for example, they have Rugrats Reptar Takes Over starting the 12th of October, and then we have the Hey Arnold live from the Spoot October 19th, and then everyone's favorite is returning, Nick or Treat, October 2006.
Are they still using that name?
Yes, but I think it's abbreviated as Nick or Treat, instead of it being one word, instead of saying it as one being Nick or Treat.
Yeah. Well, at least it sounds normal, I guess.
Yes, I mean, so just hearing all that, I mean, it's clear that nostalgia is just taking over Nickelodeon this month. I think it's a good thing. My only concern is whether it works or not.
Well, from the shows that they're showing, like that they're saying are going to be on it, a lot of them are stuff that are very inspirational. Like, they can give people good ideas to do something new. Yeah. I like that. Instead of being shown the same crappy shows that... There are quite a few bad shows going on. There are good ones, but they're mostly bad, like, in the main stuff.
Yeah.
So with good stuff like this, it will bring new attention.
It remind people that, because I mean, a lot of the animators who are working within the industry right now, making those good shows, maybe somewhat had an input or somewhat watched these cartoons back in the day. I mean, if you only have to like look at the ages of some of the people behind some of your favorite shows, you can see that they were around during those times.
Exactly.
I mean, mainly because times have changed, and I think it's a great idea to bring back certain shows and ideas, and there's a lot more you could do within animation to some extent. But for the most part, I really hope that it pays off for Nickelodeon, because they kind of deserve it. I think I think they just need to have more, even after this, have more of a resurgence in their older cartoons. They should just stick on one of them every now and then, because yes, I mean, you should move on and you should come up with new ideas, but if it's not ultimately working and you had really something great, then there's nothing wrong with revisiting, even just for one shot.
Yeah.
Which hopefully will become a recurring thing come next Halloween, perhaps.
Talking about other recurring things.
Oh yeah, we almost somewhat linked these up in the sense of things we talked about via previous podcasts.
Yeah. As everyone knows who's been watching this, recently there's been the whole "will superheroes last" going on.
Yeah.
Hollywood clearly scared, that kind of stuff. People are like, no, it won't last. It's like the Westerns, Spielberg, Zack Snyder trying to throw shade on Marvel.
For no reason, he has no right to do that.
It's because he's scared, obviously.
Yeah,
but
he's
then
frightened.
We've got the latest combatant. Everyone's favourite, Sebastian Shaw, also known as Bucky Barnes, or the Winter Soldier. Mm-hmm. He directed some comments towards Zack Snyder regarding what he said.
Yeah.
And basically, Zack Snyder, you'll remember, he was saying Ant-Man was, the flavour of the week Marvel movie. That it's not going to last. And Batman, Superman, they'll just surpass that.
Which makes no sense, still.
Yeah. So what Sebastian Shaw said was, yeah, I'm sitting here and I'm listening to you and thinking, do I want to fire shots at DC right now? At Zack Snyder? This was an interview with Clyde Maxey.
He talks very freely, so hopefully his quotes, these are just he had a much bigger interview which you should look up, but just the quotes I take, and he does talk in a very freelance kind of way.
It's beautiful. He goes on to say, something about it's not going to be your flavour of the week, Ant-Man, and I was like, oh, thanks Zach, that's great, way to do something original. But I would say we're still making something very original in our own way. I mean, the Russos are coming in and taking something people are used to, and they're shaping it up and changing it in a very different way. They're not trying to mimic a better Christopher Nolan movie or something like that.
Oh, snap!
Zack Snyder just got put in his place there.
Shall I start digging the grave now?
Yeah. You go, Sebastian Shaw. Well done.
I mean, the main crux of what he said was basically, shut up, Zack Snyder, stop being stupid, you unoriginal hack.
Exactly. He's trying to mimic the whole Nolan darkness, and he doesn't understand what
very
made it.
Clearly, yes.
While the creators of Marvel are at least doing something, it's just the studios getting in their way.
Marvel's aim is to make each of its films feel different.
Yeah.
And obviously that has been mostly successful with a few duds for the most part. I mean, just going back to Ant-Man, he's going to call Ant-Man a flavour of the week. And another argument you could say is, list me a few other superhero heist movies.
It's very true. You can't
I don't remember
really
DC doing one.
No, and apparently Suicide Squad is gonna kind of do that.
I don't think so.
I mean,
aren't they just fucking around with Joker now?
Apparently, I honestly don't know, because usually in the comics they do some sort of we've got this one mission that we got to do, but in this it's well, Joker's here now. Let's just praise him.
Yeah, it's basically Suicide Squad, aka Joker, the film.
Yeah.
And Batman, and Wonder Woman tease, and Robin tease.
Oh god, the whole Robin thing.
No one cares.
Yeah. If you've been following, you know that Star Wars ends up getting raised a bit up here with a few different opinions. Some of us good with Star Wars, some not too happy.
Yeah.
But recently, this isn't really a good thing for anyone. Not even Star Wars fans.
No, I don't think so.
Hayden Christensen has been confirmed at least
rumored.
Rumored. Okay.
Guys, before people freak out.
I thought it was confirmed.
It's a rumor as far as we still know. That it's just the quote is coming from a somewhat reliable source.
Oh, okay. That Hayden Christensen is returning to Star Wars, and this would be for Star Wars Rogue One and Star Wars Episode 8. The quote here is, a team in the UK are soon heading to the US to begin training Hayden Christensen for a Star Wars Episode 8 appearance of some sort. Which, I could understand it for Star Wars Rogue One.
Because what is Rogue One?
Rogue One is a prequel to Star Wars Episode 4, in that they're trying to steal the plans for the Death Star. Which, the problem is, I could understand him appearing in there, but at that time, is he not in the Darth Vader costume?
Yeah, he's technically Darth Vader.
Or
James Earl Jones, if you want to consider that, yeah.
Which, that would mean, obviously, Darth Vader merchandise. But Episode 8, that wouldn't make much sense.
No, it's very upsetting, and it just comes back to my whole upset with the film, where if they bring back Darth Vader, I'm going to be very, very annoyed. Yeah. And I'm still talking about flashback. I don't want to see him in this film.
Yeah, that's the thing. Star Wars, I can't remember any flashbacks in the original trilogy. At all. So, I mean, unless he's a Force ghost, which...
He would have to be a Force ghost, but even then, wouldn't that piss people off? Because they don't want to see... They wouldn't want to see... forget the guy's name.
Hayden Christensen.
Yeah, I think... No disrespect to him. I think he's a fine actor, and he did a good job of what he had. But I don't think people want to see him. I think they would just rather see the mask, if anything.
Yeah.
Because at what point are we going to see him again? Because then we're we're doing a flashback to the prequels, right?
Yeah.
To which that only gives us like 2.5 films worth of material to attack on. And I don't think Disney's Star Wars really wants to mess with that timeline, other than, I guess, the Rebels cartoon.
Yeah, and apparently the Clone Wars cartoon is still canon as well.
Yeah, I know that's still canon, but that was fine because that was the best thing to come out of the prequels, really.
Yeah, it was.
But,
I mean, anyone who's a fan on the Star Wars in general hates that the Hayden Christensen Force Ghost was put in replace of the original.
I think that's really stupid because it doesn't make a lot of sense, because Luke never saw what his dad looked like. Exactly. He saw him as, well, for better or worse, a burnt-up corpse.
Yeah.
He wouldn't have known what he looked like when he was younger, when he was older.
Yeah.
He would have known it as Darth Vader and a corpse, unfortunately.
Yeah. And the person who, the Darth Vader head that he sees once the helmet's off, it's the same actor as the one that's the Force Ghost. So,
is it?
Yeah, it is. Because there's someone in the costume, then you've got James Earl Jones doing the voice, and then you've got a different person doing the face of Darth Vader in the originals.
Oh, in the when he takes off the helmet.
When the helmet's taken off, because
isn't the guy who plays Darth Vader just in the whole suit and everything, he's the guy from The Hills Have Eyes, right?
I believe so.
Yes.
Yeah.
So yeah, it's a bit very interesting that we have this one very iconic, essentially brought to life by 3 characters.
Yeah. And obviously the Force Ghost is replaced by that guy, and when it was replaced by Chris...
Which is very insulting.
It really is.
And also, they burn his corpse.
Yeah. So
I don't know. I was talking to Ferret, who's our resident Star Wars fan here, and he was basically... I know we were talking about the fact that I was like, well, they burn his corpse. Like, what's going on with this person collecting his memorabilia? How the hell did they do that?
Oh, yeah. Kylo Ren.
Some bullshit magic they're doing.
Apparently, also, Ren isn't his surname. It's a title kind of name, which everyone believes now he's going to be Kylo Skywalker. Yeah, which I really hope isn't true.
Oh man, don't make me waste my money seeing this film, because if that's true, I'm walking out that cinema.
Ooh, I think that's what it's going to be. Then you got the father, the son, and then the new son.
If Darth Vader is even mentioned in this new film,
of course,
film shit.
Well, Kylo Ren's whole thing is he's obsessed with Darth Vader.
No, come on, guys.
Yeah.
Try and be original.
I agree.
Just try it for once. But no one wanted me. Even speaking to Reds, I think he was like, "What the hell? I'm not a fan of that." I think this is. I don't know. I know some people are probably like, "Yeah, sure, let him be in it," but I think you're just gonna mess up the continuity of things, and things are already at a mess.
Yeah.
So you should really just disregard the prequels. Keep the originals as what they are, and then just forget about everything else and just start this new franchise. But
exactly.
I still don't get it. They keep holding on to the original cast. They even need to die in this film or just not be in it. Well, come on, guys.
For me, I mean, Mark Hamill returning for this one film, I would have been fine with.
He's the only one who needs to return.
Yeah. Han Solo, I'm sorry, but his character would have died when he was young.
He needs to be referenced.
Oh no, like in general, Han Solo, after Episode 6, he would have died because he's too reckless.
Yeah, he needs to be referenced.
Yeah, Leia would have gone queen or something and ruled somewhere. She doesn't need to appear.
Yeah, she could have had like just one cameo or like just one scene.
She wouldn't even need that. So the only one who needs to return would be Luke Skywalker.
It makes sense, but
and then he should die, kind of like how Obi-Wan died.
He should die, or he should just go away.
Yeah,
that's all I can say.
Yeah,
it's not a very happy story to some extent, but
it's one of those things. People just keep clinging on to the old stuff when they're trying to do new films,
which I can completely understand. That is a very interesting point to raise, but whatever. Let's just hope they don't make a mess of it, unlike other things that we have to talk about.
Oh, well, like local English news.
Yes, we don't really talk about English news or politics on this podcast, but I think this one was worth mentioning.
Yeah, I'm sure people in America have already probably heard this, but our Prime Minister, David Cameron...
We said it with quotation marks.
Yeah, we did not want him. Idiots elected him.
The rich, yeah.
Yeah. He supposedly and skull-fucked a pig's head.
Yes,
Yeah, just let that sink in there a little. Our Prime Minister did this.
Now, this is still all rumour-based, but the fact of the matter is it is going into a book, I believe, simply titled Call Me David. Yes. Written by
Lord Ashcroft.
Lord Ashcroft. Like, just quickly going into the summary of it, the only reason this book is coming out is because Lord Ashcroft, he's a very wealthy man. He tried to evade paying taxes.
Oh, yeah.
He then helped out, I believe, either David Cameron within his campaign or the government in some kind of sense, in exchange for a place within our a seat within our political heads and the higher ups. Unfortunately, when Cameron or whoever found out that he was doing this, they denied it. So I think, in a sense, for him getting back at this, he's creating this book. Yeah. It's a compilation of people talking about him and stories. And one of the more interesting ones, which has taken center stage, is the fact that during a a club or something like that?
Yeah, it was like one of those secret society clubs that Oxford and Cambridge, those kind of places have. Yeah,
and I mean. And so, which I think one of the requirements was to shove his dick into a severed pig's head.
Yes.
Which is the most random thing ever, but when you consider the fact that he may have done this, and this is the person who is currently fucking up this country, it is a very startling thought. And I can understand why people are probably never going to let this go. Whether it's real or not, I don't think people will let it go.
I mean, if it's real, then props to Charlie Brooker for Black Mirror, because that's very that's strange.
Yes.
How creepily real that was.
Even Charlie Brooker himself has made reference to it now. The fact that season 3 has been confirmed.
Yeah.
And he's saying, kind of at the end of his quote, kind of saying, "Let's just hope none of my stories in season 3 come true."
Yeah. It'd be a very dark world we live in then.
Yes, to some extent. But we just had to mention this story because it is fairly big news, and we don't really, this is mainly an entertainment, media-based podcast, but...
Sometimes it's fun to talk about England.
Sometimes, but there's so much stupidness going on in this country, it is ridiculous. But speaking of something that is surprisingly more serious than this stupid story about David Cameron... whether it happens or not, and there's the fact that members of the SAG AFTRA, which is basically a acting membership-based organisation for voice actors.
Screen Actors Guild, is it?
Yeah, it's a Screen Actors Guild, but I was not even going to bother to say the whole name because there's no point, because even the website itself doesn't even give the full name, so fuck it.
Well done, SAG.
Yes, well done. So essentially, there may be a strike between voice actors and how they are paid, as this supposed discussion has been going on for quite some time, mainly revolving around video game developers and publishers. So, what they essentially want is they want to create this concept called the backed bonus. And essentially what this does is it, instead of excuse me, because I'm always getting mixed up because it is somewhat confusing because we don't come from like voice acting terminology, so as it charges less for voice acting fees up front, which basically means that you'll be paid for you'll be paid up front instead of like being paid after. But what they want to do is they want to change it so that basically you get paid bonus pays for performances after the game is released. So for example, within a milestone kind of way, where for example, and I think this is pretty funny, so for example, every 2 million of a game sold, there would be a bonus given to the voice actors, and so on and so on. One of the main reasons why they say this is because they say they also want to protect small developers from making residential payments, as they don't make as much as AAA games. Supposedly this, if they do like go through with this, then voice actors will go on strike until I guess they can get their way. But honestly, I don't really know how to feel about this to some extent.
Well, I'm on the side that I think they deserve it. They deserve the extra money, especially because they really don't get paid as much as
some
they
voice
should.
actors do, yeah.
Well, that's the thing. Even the big people like Nolan North and Troy Baker, they don't get paid nearly as much as they should for the amount of work they put in.
Because in a sense, they are actors, and getting a lesser paid role from something that sells can sell as much or slightly less than a movie, it's somewhat demeaning to your profession and your art. So I can understand why they would at least want more pay, but I mean it's not as if like because I'm struggling to find the words, because essentially the payment, the upfront payment, is essentially being replaced with something where it's like, oh, you did really well, here's some more. In that way it's rewarding them for actually doing their job, and because obviously a voice actor is contributing to the reason why your game is selling.
Exactly.
So it makes sense, and obviously, if the game doesn't sell, then unfortunately you don't get that bonus pay. There will obviously be a standard pay, but I think it makes sense. But I was also thinking of the fact that games don't really sell that much no more.
Well, that's the thing. If they don't, then they'll just get the normal pay they get anyway.
Which seems very counterproductive, because I'm not sure if any of them have taken into account this fact that software sales are incredibly low.
Well, that's the thing. If you consider also, it will count for digital as well. But stuff like how much Grand Theft Auto sold, they would be getting lots of bonuses for that.
That's one game.
Yeah. But what about stuff back in the day when it was like Uncharted? Nolan North should have been getting lots of bonuses for those three games.
I don't think that this concept would even apply to that.
Oh no, I'm not saying about old games.
The publisher would just go out of bank.
No, I know.
Yeah.
I'm not saying it'd apply to old ones, but if it was in power, that like this thing was enacted back then he would have got more money for those.
Yeah.
But I mean, one of the things that the voice acting, they don't get paid extra for the motion capture of the faces.
No, which is ridiculous.
Yeah.
Because
I think they were saying something along the lines of they get the pay for that as well.
Which would make sense, because that takes a lot of time. I mean,
it really does.
Watching that kind of stuff is very interesting to see it, because it's film standard. They've been doing it since about the 2000. No, excuse me. Well, yeah, since the 2000 era, but more accurately the PS2, Xbox generation stuff. So it can be quite daunting. I mean, if you look at games like L.A. Noire, Max Payne 3 was very interesting, because the one guy just did everything. Just from the way he shoots, the way he carries the gun, that was all him acting, which is fantastic. But for the most part, I think this is a somewhat good idea. My main concern is I don't think this is going to work, because, like I said before, games do not make as much money as they do.
True.
Hence why journalists are making a big deal when a game makes $1 million. $1 million is fucking nothing. It's nothing. If a film made $1 million, that is a critical flop.
Yeah.
Yeah? The last time a game made shit tons of money was Tomb Raider, which made about 13 million, and that was a fucking failure. A failure. But enough, thanks to the support and popularity of it, to make a sequel. There hasn't been a massive selling game so far as I can recall, other than Destiny, which sold about 10 million, which is fucking piss poor.
That's very, very true.
That's pocket money. You just made your money back. The only game that even made a profit that I can think of nowadays is GTA 5, like you mentioned, which made stupid money, which is great. Mainly because the game deserves it.
It really does.
But software sales are low and console sales are high. So,
I guess one of the things here, obviously, if there aren't as many people buying them, then they wouldn't have to pay the voice actors extra anyway.
Yeah, so almost like a double-edged sword. But
yeah,
at the same time, I think they need to consider that first, because if they do put this practice into plan and they go on strike and they mess up the industry, much like the writer strike did back in the 2000s, they'll be in trouble. Because when games aren't breaking 2 million, you're going to be in trouble.
Yeah.
I mean, it will be the publisher's benefit to some extent.
It's true.
They'll kind of mess themselves up. But alright, let's move on to the next story since we talked about it enough. So we got a very interesting story, the fact that a particular robot that you can be, it's like a domestic robot that can be purchased within I believe it is Japan. Yes. Yeah. That can be purchased within Japan, known as Pepper, which is essentially a emotional robot. Essentially a kind of contract when buying it basically suggests that you have to agree not to have sex with this robot.
Oh.
A robot which is able to read emotions and hold discussions, as well as looking fucking creepy.
Yes, it does.
Yes, you must have you must sign a contract basically stating that you must not use the robot for the purpose of sexual intended or indecent behavior, which would then break the rental agreement.
Yeah.
There's also requires, and when I kind of go up and pitch that implies quotes. This means having sex with it, reprogram it to stalk people and develop it for any sexual, obscene or violent apps.
What the... Like, the fact that they actually have to give this warning out makes me laugh.
First of all, I don't think you can have sex with this thing. It's a robot. I'm pretty sure your genitalia would be seriously damaged.
Well, yeah, but there are always people who try stuff like that.
I don't get that though.
There are weird people out there. There really are.
How do you go to the doctors with like a shredded piece of genitalia?
Well, there was an episode of Big Bang Theory. Okay,
let's not use Big Bang Theory as an episode because that show has no examples.
Well, it was that one of the characters programmed a robot hand to do stuff to him, and it got stuck, so he had to go to the hospital with it. And the whole thing was kind of there. It was very embarrassing for him. But that's the kind of thing I mean. Whilst I'm not saying the show's good, it's an example of that whole idea.
I can understand the stalking people and the whole creating apps and hacking it and reprogramming it, but I think the fact that the company even considered the fact that people might have sex with this thing is crazy, because have you not seen like VR stuff and that? You can have virtual sex now to some extent, and it is incredibly disturbing to watch. It
is. It's really creepy.
I mean, the robot doesn't even look like anything you'd want to have sex with. To be honest, it's not. It's not shaped within the sense of anyone's beauty, nor male nor female. Robots they have no gender.
It looks like WALL-E designed by iPod. In a sense.
No. He would have been way slicker and way more overpriced.
Okay, 90s Apple.
Maybe. I mean, it's a basic robot, and I don't think these things will really catch on to any extent, because I don't think people are ready, because, especially in England, people will see you walking around with a robot, realize you have a robot, and they'll destroy it. Yeah,
or, I mean, considering that thing that happened in America, the hitchhiking robot, people just destroyed it.
Yeah, they destroyed it.
For no reason.
Which is a bit upsetting, because where they took it to, was it California or Texas, and they just destroyed it?
It was somewhere, I think, southern America. Yeah.
Yeah, the place where everyone's welcome.
Oh, God.
As long as you're a white male.
And you like Christ.
Christ.
Yeah?
Oh, gosh. But let's get into some more, let's actually talk about a lot more film-related stuff, and that is the fact that we have kind of like a rundown and a kind of story to do with the Ghostbusters reboot. It is a reboot, which just confirms how original it is.
I was so confused by it. I kept assuming it was a continuation. Like a soft reboot in a way.
Not to be rude, but how?
Because at the time I didn't know of what we're going to discuss.
Now, already on this podcast, we've talked about the fact that it's happening, the fact that there's going to be a spin-off, a universe, the fact that we've seen the proton packs, the Ecto 1, and them in their uniforms, to which each time a story has come out, I've gone, wow, this film is getting less and less original and more like just a nostalgia blast remake.
Or it'll be one of those, do you remember this moment?
Which I'm getting very sick of.
Yeah.
Because you could do great things, especially having a director who is at least competent within directing and somewhat comedy. As Paul Feige basically announced that Sigourney Weaver will be making a cameo in the reboot. Now, first of all, Sigourney Weaver is always awesome.
Yes, she is.
The downside, well, other than him he said this to stop an incoming leak.
Okay.
So I have no idea how he knew it was going to get leaked.
Not too sure there.
This makes, just a quick tangent, this makes me think that the studio is intentionally leaking things again. I know they know that nothing gets leaked anymore when it comes to a film. So I think he must have seen shady crap within the studio and went, you know what, let me just put the water on this fire real quick. Which I thought was incredibly upsetting, because already this film was very unoriginal, but now that you've got almost the whole cast, including Sigourney Weaver, Bill Murray, Dan Aykroyd, Ernie Hudson, and possibly Boson Helgeron in the cast already, doing cameos. Now, already you have almost the whole cast in the film.
Yeah.
Obviously not including one person who unfortunately can't make it here, the original writer and actor within the film. But I don't care whether they're going to have 5-minute cameos or 2-minute cameos. You've already just made your film less inferior to the original. And if that's your intention, that's fine. But I do remember, Phil Feige, you saying that you want to make your own original film that has nothing to do with the original films. This is not good. Yeah?
By having cameos with all these people, you're instantly saying, do you remember this?
And it's fine. Because you can do it very cleverly, where you can just have... Yeah, I'm sure what he's going to do is he's going to have them just in the background be secretary or some random police officer. I know that's what you're going to do. But you're going to hold on them. And you're gonna make it obvious to even the people who don't know who that is, that they have something to do with this film.
Yeah.
I already know that this is the studio's attempts at doing the whole, do you remember this?
Yeah.
I feel really sorry for Paul Feige, and he probably might not or know this already, but he's kind of lost control of his own film, basically. I have never been disinterested in a film than this so far. I have no intention of this film, and this is probably the last time we will be covering this film. Even if the film is good, I will not be watching this film, or we will not be covering this film.
Okay.
Because I've just had it with these kinds of films, and it's probably just not even worth mentioning them anymore.
I mean, one thing I would say is, as I said, I thought it was possibly being a soft reboot sequel kind of thing, like the 2009 Star Trek film, where it had one cast member return to kind of push it onto the new side. And I thought it was going to do that. It would be like a new Ghostbusters franchise opening, and one of them probably...
It's clearly not.
I know, that's what I thought it was, and then they kept announcing all the cameos, and I was like... And then they said it was a reboot, and that confused the hell out of me. It was like, dude, you can't do that.
Essentially tapping into a market and trying to exploit people for their nostalgia is something that's increasingly very annoying, and just another evil scheme within Hollywood's attempt to make up for the lack of originality.
Look at Terminator Genisys for a big example.
Terminator Genisys is one of the more sorry excuses for a film I think I've known of and even recognised in a long time. I don't think this Ghostbusters reboot will be as bad, because that was just a train wreck. I think this film is just going to be piss poor.
Yeah.
To, if we're lucky, average. Maybe they'll get a sequel that no one cares about.
And if it's bad, hopefully it's forgettable bad.
At this moment, it looks like it's going to be, because they're already going to use special effects. I know that much. They've already got the original cast in the film, just being there to already just say, look how unoriginal we are.
Yeah.
The proton packs look exactly the same. There's no change. The Ecto 1 is the same fucking car.
It should have been what I suggested, the whole fire truck thing.
It should have been a different car. Call it Ecto 2.
Yeah.
I'd be fine with that. Their suits are the only thing that even somewhat look new, and the fact that we have 4 female characters, one with glasses, one who is black, oh my god, have you literally just picked people to be gender reversed swapped of the original cast?
And then you've got Chris Hemsworth as the secretary man with glasses. So, yeah.
Really bad. I mean, when is Mrs. Stay Puft Marshmallow woman going to appear in this film?
Oh, I can't wait for that.
I'm sure...
Mrs. Slimer.
I'm sure she's... Yes, Miss
Just
Slimer,
have a little bow, like...
Slimer, yes, so that you know it's a female.
Yeah.
And then I don't think you'll be able to have the Destroyer in it, so...
Mrs. Destroyer.
No, no, you can't do that because I'm sure people make a fuss about how she's too sexy or she's too scary. Because this film isn't going to be rated 12.
Yeah.
It's going to be rated U for everyone.
A family picture.
A family movie. But let's speak to things that are also very aggravating, as the fact that apparently Metal Gear Solid, the series, can continue without Kojima.
Oh, Konami Bullshit Train, I hear you calling. We've gotten back to the station, people.
Yeah, we're still going. We're still going strong. This locomotive still has some good steam ahead. I don't even know if it's going to continue for the rest of this year on its course. We'll just have to see. But essentially, during an interview with a website known as Game On Daily, Konami's community manager Graham Day, who I'm not sure if he's English or what, but it may tie into what he's saying. Basically, when asked about the franchise, he said, when asked whether the franchise could continue without Kojima, he very strangely, and this is me reading the quote, by the way, he says, "Yeah, of course it can. Metal Gear is about story. It's about the characters, and I think, yeah."
Yeah.
That was just his quote on that. Like, I shit you not. You can look up the article. That's what he said. And he then used half an example when he talked about Platinum Games, Metal Gear Solid Revengeance game, where he said, look at things like Metal Gear Rising. It was like an example of the title being taken into a new direction by a separate team with obvious hands in from the other parties. And that's... Excuse me. Sorry. Getting a bit of a sore throat here. And that was in itself a very, very good game as well. And it was obviously led by a completely different team. And just to finish off this quote, basically saying... excuse me. Basically saying... basically talking about regarding, as I put it, the bullshit train.
Yeah.
He says, don't believe everything you read in the press.
Oh.
Now, this guy just sounds like a sellout for the company.
Mm-hmm.
Basically because, basically like what happened to Angry Joe, where they were like, yeah, can you not say Kojima's name, please? Basically sounds like that. I think this is a very, very hilarious thing that Konami has done. They've literally sent this guy out because, first, he's the community manager.
Yep.
Of course he's going to say that.
He's not going to badmouth the people paying him. He's
not going to badmouth it, and he's going to reassure people that they're not being shitheads, despite the fact that it's going to be confirmed. His quote at the end saying, "Do not believe everything you read in the press," is very baffling. So, are we not to believe that Konami's gone?
Yeah.
Kojima's gone. Are we not to believe that Silent Hills is dead?
Are we not to believe all these pachinko machines?
Yeah, because I think that's still happening, guys.
Yeah.
I think this man might be a bit deluded.
Just a little bit.
Yeah, and his whole comment about Platinum Games I thought was very interesting, mainly because, yes, Metal Gear Rising: Revengeance was a good game. It was made by Platinum, who is a good studio.
Yeah.
The one thing he's forgetting is that when that project was happening, this is a game that Kojima was making.
Yes.
He couldn't make it work, and Konami was ready to cancel it.
Mm-hmm.
So he gave the project to Platinum Games, who made the game for him.
And the whole plot was written by Kojima as well.
Yeah.
So
the game did well,
to
some extent, but it did not do fantastic. And this is what a lot of people regard as the first fuck up from Kojima, prompting his possible leaving of the company, because he produced this, which at the time did okay, but people really didn't like it. But as of a couple of years now, it's become more popular for just being a fun game. Just forget about Metal Gear, it's a good game. And then you have also Ground Zeroes, which I still think was Konami's bullshit.
Same.
And that was not working out because they were like, this is your fault for our idea.
Well, considering obviously PT being free, Kojima was probably like, yeah, Ground Zeroes, it's free. possible.
No, I don't think so. I think they learned from that mistake, and because of the backlash, they went, fuck it, make the demo free. They saw the popularity and went, oh fuck, actually we don't really like you, so just cancel everything to do with you. This is probably one of the more hilarious things we've actually talked about regarding Konami.
It is.
I know I keep going back to it, but don't believe everything you read in the press.
That's one of those conspiracy theory kind of statements. That's one of those. Oh yeah, we're working on games. And I know we already said this, and I know we already talked about this, but you know, it's. I mean, I've got another quote here as well. Is like, just kind of regarding him talking actually about the fact that, you know, they're possibly not making more games. And as the he says, that's never changed. Things have been taken out of context, but that's never changed. So regarding, because this is also regarding, like I said, they're making more games and there being no more Metal Gear games. Yeah.
Such bullshit.
They're going to make some like really cheap, hastily done game.
Basically, much like Silent Hill.
Yeah, it'll be Metal Gear Origins.
They're just going to get random... Because for anyone who doesn't know, the reason why there's so many Silent Hill games is because Konami, after the original team created 1 to 4, gave the franchise to random developers.
Yep.
They did not care. Like, the only... I forget which game it was. I think it was... was it Homecoming, where the only game they had made prior was like an app game.
Yeah, I think it was.
It was like, it was one studio that the only thing they'd ever made was an app game, and they just gave it to them. That was their only title, and even today they've made like another app game in that game, and it's just like,
oh god,
they essentially, and I feel really sorry saying this to anyone who really appreciates the series, they're gonna treat this franchise like a fucking slab of meat.
Yeah,
just chucking around. Who wants it? Who wants it?
Yeah. It'd be
you want it? Okay, do it.
You'd be like,
you done yet? Good.
You know, you've heard of Snake's Revenge?
Yeah.
Yeah, it'd be kind of modern versions of that, but even worse.
Ugh.
Yeah. Where they didn't get it, so they just throw random things that they think are funny.
Yeah,
and that's
this is so stupid. I mean, I don't know what's going to happen to Konami this year. Whether they'll be relevant next year, I honestly don't think so. But I think now that Kojima's gone, now that the head of, was it Fox Engine or something like that?
Yeah,
he left as well. Yeah. Silent Hill is no longer happening. Metal Gear Solid 5 is released to mixed reviews.
And most of that is presumed to do with Konami bullshit.
That's the suspicion, because people can't help it. People can't help it. I mean, if you really want to get a better idea, try and get the special edition, because you can see a lot of cut content, and even people have come out saying they played previous iterations and can tell that things have been cut from the game. Yeah. Whether that is just whether that's simply the team going, nah, that's not working, or Konami going, you've wasted 10 million on this game, cut that, we're doing it now. I don't know. But I think I know it's a bit of a cliche now on the internet, but it still stands. Fuck Konami. That's where we have to end it.
It really does.
Right. Moving on to more bullshittery. We have the fact that, well, it's kind of half and half. We have the fact that some concept artwork for another Conker, as in Conker's Bad Fur Day, game was released. It's simply titled Conker Getting Medieval, excuse me. And essentially Peter Hayes, basically, who was the concept artist, basically talked about the game in some length, talking about what it was going to be about, using one quote saying it was going to be an Xbox project we worked on after the Live and Reloaded game, which was the remake of Conker's Bad Fur Day, which people fucking hated. Yeah. This was after, obviously, Rare was acquired by Microsoft. He then goes on to essentially say it would have been an online multiplayer game with medieval war and siege warfare, which sounds different. I can't think of too many other games that have done that.
Did Worms do some siege warfare?
Well, Worms is always war.
Oh no, but like siege warfare being the whole kind of
theme.
Yeah. Like,
I'm sure
I think they did that in some of it, and then you've got the classics of like Warcraft, like the originals who did that kind of stuff.
Which is fine. Yeah. I mean, I can understand that. I mean, they also mentioned the fact that Conker wouldn't have been actually in the game. Yeah. Within the it's about 6-minute video which you can find on Rare's YouTube channel if you just type it in. He wouldn't have been the main character. It would have been Death. Yeah. Death incarnate within the story of Bad Fur Day, which I still think would have been a cool concept. I mean, we both looked at the video, right?
Yeah, we did.
Do you have any like impressions just on what they showed and talked about?
Well, it's more of the... I think it should have just been released in general. Like, it would have just been one of those fun, wacky kind of multiplayer games. Something that Splatoon is now.
Yeah.
It would have been one of those. It wouldn't have done any harm.
I think it would have been okay if it was released because I think Microsoft maybe at the time would have given them a little bit more free range, since Microsoft really loves online games, multiplayer games, shooters particularly. I think it would have done really well. I hope it wouldn't have spawned into the fact like much with like Spyro and Skylanders where it's not like Conquer anymore, it's just medieval warfare. But I have a feeling they wouldn't have kept the animal, cartoony, bloody, stupid, gory kind of feel. They probably would have turned it into something more serious to some extent. Looking at the concept artwork, I really like it.
Yeah, it looked really fun.
It reminded me a little bit of some of the artwork from Dragon Quest a little bit.
Yes, I agree completely.
But some of the character art and design was really nice. Really nice. It's a real shame that I think it's a real shame that just that concept art has only just been released now. That's the only reason we mention it, is because we want to get the word out there and, you know, spread the word about this, because I like Rare. Yeah. And I really do feel sorry for Rare.
Since they got acquired by Microsoft, they've been buried. I mean, hopefully they're coming back now.
They are. I mean, they've got that Pirates game, which looks like it might be online, which could be very interesting because Rare's charm is always great. They had only 2 real games that really... Well, they had 2.5 games that were enjoyable, being FIFA Pinata, sequel, and I guess the core mechanics of Banjo-Kazooie Nuts and Bolts. Not anything else, because it's shit. But I thought it was interesting the fact that they talked about this as a concept that never happened, but they still haven't talked about Conker's other Bad Fur Day, which was the planned sequel.
Yeah, it's one of those things of, I can imagine Microsoft being like, just no, don't talk about it.
Like, I can understand if it was never a concept beyond just the title, but still, you can make a killing if you did that. But no, they fucked around with Project Spark. Yeah. And they just let the franchise die, because it's fine if you want to let franchises die as long as they have a good send-off and you did enough and you ran out of ideas or whatever. I mean, people always say, we want more Spyro game, more Crash game. I say yes to one of those now, but not back in the day, to some extent, because enough time has passed. I mean, look at Rayman Origins and Legends. They let the well, admittedly, they kind of killed it with the rabbits, but
they really
they had the last game come out on the PS2. It's gone for a while. They reinvented the genre. They reinvented it, recreated it, did kind of like a prequel kind of series and then a sequel, and put it back on the map in its own genre, solidified it in its own kind of space. Yeah. But yeah, somewhat good news. But obviously Microsoft's fucking shadow over it just doesn't quite help.
It's just ridiculous. But definitely check out the concept art. It looks nice.
It does. Right, I'm going to take the third to last story, and then you can take the last 2. Okay. That is the fact that the studio, still regarding Microsoft, Twisted Pixel, is going to become an indie studio once again.
Hallelujah.
To some extent, yes. I mean, they are mainly known for the games Splosion Man, The Gunstringer, which is actually a very decent Kinect game.
Like probably one of the best Kinect games.
It's the best Kinect game because it actually fucking works. And Loco Cycle, which was...
Was that Endless Runner kind of thingy? Like, but motorcycle?
I don't necessarily think it was Endless Runner, because I think you could beat the stages. But,
okay.
Yeah, it was that game. They're essentially leaving Microsoft because they want to become an indie studio again.
Which I think is a good idea.
This is a very short story because I know 2 of the main heads have just decided they want to break away. They're thankful for Microsoft, but good for them. Yeah. If they can make it, good for them.
Exactly, because, I mean... Ever since they really joined Microsoft, I didn't hear too many good things.
Well, I forget where it was, but I think Miss Splosion Man was a Microsoft exclusive.
Oh,
I think which was the sequel to obviously Splosion Man, which was on Microsoft at the time, and then they became partners. I think they did. They did the game The More.
The More.
The More, but I think that was on PC as well. Yeah. And then everything else was a exclusive. But it's a very short story, just a little, good for them.
Going on to one of my favourite sci-fi series, Mass Effect, it's been said that a theme park is going to be made. Well, not necessarily a full theme park, more a theme ride. Ride. Which I'm very happy with this. It's the few details we've been given is it's something to do with the Normandy, which is the main ship the cast use.
That they fly around in space. Yes, it's not that much of a spoiler.
Yeah. I didn't think that.
No, I wasn't trying to say stay away from spoilers.
Yes.
Trying to...
But if so, then I would love this. Is it in Florida or California?
I believe it's Florida, yes.
Florida, yeah. I would actually go to Florida just for this ride, because I love Mass Effect that much.
Do you not think they would possibly bring it on tour, or,
If they do, I hope so, because I need this ride. I want to go onto a live version of the Normandy. I mean, it won't be the same size, obviously, considering how big the Normandy is. But just getting to stand on the bridge, I'd be happy with that. That'd be cool.
That's cool though. I had mixed feelings about this because I was contemplating the fact that whether Mass Effect really deserved the theme park compared to all the video games in the world and everything. I was kind of just like, I can kind of understand, but I think other games would need a theme park attraction before this game. I think if this theme park ride came a little bit later on after, let's say, video game theme parks were more of a thing, I'd be like, yeah, do it. But I think the fact that we've already got a Nintendo theme park and now Mass Effect, I'm just kind of like, rubs me the wrong way.
It is just one ride, it's not the whole park.
I'm not opposed to it. I just think, I have no problem with it existing. It's just the timing of it and the fact that obviously Mass Effect's next game is being released.
Yeah, that was the main reason I thought it was.
And EA, I was just kind of like, are you guys trying to distract us from something? Particularly fans of Mass Effect.
But I mean, one of the things I thought it was due to, which I call the return of sci-fi, like the whole space opera genre.
We were talking about this. Yes.
Which you were saying it hasn't happened yet because Star Wars isn't out.
Yeah.
And I said it's already happened because Guardians of the Galaxy.
Yeah. And then I said people don't really consider that a sci-fi film. Yeah. Especially the your average watcher. They'd probably be like, oh, that was a funny film in space and all that. But I think the core audience of like cinema, the popcorn eaters, they would probably just consider Star Wars as that is sci-fi.
Yeah.
And then Lord of the Rings.
And Star Trek, because they know who Spock is.
Yeah, they know who Spock is, and they know, set phasers to stun. I know my Star Trek.
Beam me up, Scotty.
Beam me up, Scotty.
Which isn't even a proper phrase that was only used in the modern one.
Yeah, it was only used like a couple of times. Yeah. It's not even that big a deal.
It's not even the proper phrase.
No.
That was never said in the original series. So, yeah.
It's just a joke for people who say, I know Star Trek.
Yeah, exactly.
But, I don't know. I don't trust it, mainly because it's EA. I know I was following... I saw an image, I think, in one airport, I think in California or something like that, there's an EA sports shop.
Seriously?
Yes.
Wow.
If you type that in EA sports shop, you might be able to find images of it, but that is very, very concerning.
Very confused about that.
Very much so.
For news that has become less it's gotten better. Deus Ex is Deus Ex Mankind Divided's pre-order scam. Alleged scam.
Before you go on, I don't think we did cover this. I'm not sure if we did.
We did. I believe so.
Did we? Okay, so
I'll just.
But just as a quick refresher, yes.
Basically, who is it? Square Enix?
Square Enix is publishing, yes.
Yeah, Square Enix, the publisher for Deus Ex, they were saying about there were going to be a tiered pre-order for this. So the more people who pre-order, the more people who it gets to the next tier.
Yes.
So tier 1 was, I think, a few costumes.
Yeah.
Tier 2 was it art book or something?
Something like that, and you could pick which one you wanted.
Yeah. So you could pick from first tier 1 of 3 outfits. Tier 2 art book. Tier 3 I think was missions, so you could pick which mission or something.
Yeah.
And tier 4 was it gets released 3 days early.
4 days.
4 days, sorry. Yeah. Which that has been cancelled.
Thank God.
Yes, because it's probably the dumbest thing I've heard.
No, there's much better ways in getting people to pre-order your games, but my gosh, that is such a really bad idea to get people to pre-order. Because the only reason pre-orders exist is so that publishers or developers can tell the main publishers, our game's got like 1 million pre-orders, we're expecting a profit of at least this much.
Yeah.
That's the only reason that you can pre-order games by dropping a £10 on there or just for free. This is not benefiting anyone.
No,
because you are essentially creating this massive divide between people who are going to get these 4 tiers.
Yeah.
And what you're actually going to release the game 4 days early? How is that possible? What happens if people don't reach it? Are you just going to wait?
Yeah. Just not enough people did it.
Did they plan for this at all? Did they was their expectation to have the game at least ready 4 days early before its initial release? In order, so just in case it reaches this tier, it would be released on time. Because think about it, games still has to be shipped.
Yeah, exactly.
So if this was planned written in the stone at some point, that means the game's fucking finished.
Yeah, I mean,
and it's just sitting in a warehouse.
That's what I was going to say. It means it's probably finished. The publisher's saying, okay, take that bit. That's going to be a pre-order bonus, which. Thankfully, all the stuff is now in the core game. At least that's what they've said.
Hope.
From what they've said, whether we can trust that or not.
This is Square Enix.
Yeah. It's in the core game. It won't be released 4 days early. That was like the end statement of that.
Yeah, so release it when it needs to be. I mean, no good would have come of this. Got the game 4 days early, and I'm sure it would have been a mess.
Yeah, I mean, it literally had to have been, if that was the case, that it was already done.
It was just ridiculous. I mean, I'm not too thrilled at what Mankind Evolved?
Divided. Yeah.
Is looking like. It doesn't look very good. It looks like Square Enix has an input in this game, and I don't like that.
Well, to me, it just looks like more Human Revolution with upgraded stuff. Like, it could have been an expansion, just a really massive one.
That's what I thought it was originally. I thought it was a remake of the original
Human Revolution.
Yes, Human Revolution, which already got a director's cut version because some parts of the original game were very flawed.
Yes. But
fairly ridiculous. And I guess Square Enix, you learnt from your mistakes and you did something good.
Yeah, whether that was fan outcry or...
I think it was.
Or, I think, did we say about this, whether people just weren't pre-ordering it, so they decided against it?
Well, yeah, I think so, because, I mean, that was a question I did raise to you, where it was like, did anyone even do this, or would anyone even do this? I mean, if there are listeners and you did, or you were going to, just let us know why. Like, why did this sound like a good idea to you? Because I don't think it does, because this is, for people who may not necessarily be in tune with stuff like this, wouldn't that be a bit confusing if you go up to the store and you're like, can I pre-order Mankind Divided? And they're like, which tier do you want?
Yeah.
What are the tiers? Oh, costumes, story, the game gets released 4 days early, and they're like, okay, what does the costumes do? You get 4 costumes. Okay, what does that do? It just seems a bit much.
Yeah, it was ridiculous.
I mean, it's bad enough that games already come with like 18 editions where you get one with a statue, one with a different statue, one with 2 statues, one with 5 statues, one with no statue, but there's a statue that you can buy from another store, and then the other version has no statue but no game.
The worst form... What are the worst two? Like, is it Watch Dogs and Evolve that were the worst two for that? Like 18 different editions for both of them.
Yeah,
and there's literally spreadsheets to see which one you can get the most out of.
Ridiculous. It's bad when some poor gamer's just going, let me do the quick calculations as to how I'm supposed to spend an extra £100 on my game.
So dumb.
Ridiculous. You should only ever buy one special edition of a game. And I have it, and it is right there, and it is my Bioshock Infinite.
Oh, yeah.
Yes. My Infinite with the Ultimate Songbook Edition. Didn't even cost me that much. It only cost me an extra £20 than the game was at launch.
Okay.
So, whatever. I got an art book, a statue, download code, and a few little toys and knickknacks. So, whatever. And I keep it in my box because it looks awesome in its box.
It really
Not because I'm some kind of weird...
It's got to stay mint.
It's got to stay mint, well then I would never play the game then.
Yeah, exactly. Just buy another copy of the game at the same time.
I'm sure people do that, but then that's extremely counterproductive.
It really is.
Extremely. But, Ace, are you going to be taking the last story?
Yeah.
I feel like Soulja Boy there for saying, Yo!
Oh. Sorry, I've got a brilliant story for that. I'll have to say that later.
Okay.
Recently they've said about an app coming out called People App.
Mm-hmm.
Now, it's spelled really weird, so I think this is right. Peepl.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So basically, someone with dyslexia was in charge of the management.
Yeah, or someone that's a big fan of Tumblr, and they just decided the little L with, and then the, like...
L-R, yeah.
That whole thing was cool. Which, a lot of things have done that lately. It's a kind of social media-ish site, like, less posting about stuff, more every contact you have on anything, you can rate.
Mm-hmm.
And you rate the people on there, which are your friends, co-workers, etc., on personality, professionalism, and romantically. Now, when, like, let's say I got it and I decide to rate you on there, then you would be publicly shown on that thing.
Yeah.
But unless people have you added, they can't rate you. Yeah. It is really... I think it's really stupid.
Yes. Now, I've only just kind of recently had this, like, the last story we kind of put into the podcast because I thought it was a fairly interesting thing to end the main bulk of stories on. But I thought it was very interesting because my first concern was... Okay, so for example, you rated me on this site.
Yeah.
I'm on several social networkings. Is it then going to integrate with those social networks and then just immediately add me within this People app?
Well, from what they were really vague with how they were saying it, and it was like, well, now you're connected to it in a way, and that was they didn't elaborate or say now you've got everything you can log in.
It seems like you're just trying to force people into your shitty service.
Exactly.
And that is incredibly annoying because I try and avoid social networks as much as possible. So to have someone, because I get very annoyed when people are trying to not necessarily tag me in photos, but get me to play these stupid
like
games, and I'm just like, fuck off.
Yeah.
I mean,
just block them instantly, like the
no,
games.
because some of them are. You can block the games.
Yeah. If you go on the game, you can like block it, and then no one can send you a request to that anymore.
Sweet.
I do that to every request I get.
Sweet. But I just didn't get it because it seems like it may breach some kind of like contract based issues with like some of the bigger hard hitters like Facebook and Twitter, because back to my thesis, so you rate me and then what does it do? Does it then search through my name under every kind of social network link? Does it then integrate with that either by partnership or illegally, and then track me down to say, oh, Ace has rated you, and then say, do you want to join this site, or do you want to do it through Facebook, or is it just going to invade my emails and just go, oh yeah, here he is, do you want to join this site? That sounds incredibly illegal.
I mean,
this is illegal, you know.
There are other like web stuff like this. Like I remember, I got an email and it was saying, blah, 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 would like to talk to you on this kind of service. And it's like, I don't have this. How did they find it?
Yes.
And that's what I feel like it's going to be. Like, so this, you get an email and say, this person rated you on People. And it's like, what the hell?
So what's the main kicker towards this story, why it's in the podcast?
Well, I'm trying to remember what it was now. My brain's gone dumb. I'll say one thing. It's instantly going to create some sort of conflict here.
Obviously, yes.
Like, I remembered it. Basically, if you rate someone, let's say I say professionally 0 to you, then you could get a thing and it say, do you want to, like, go against this and say, like, no, and then you try and resolve it with the person and talk. And in 48 hours, if you haven't come to a resolution, it's automatically put on your profile.
So it's basically just starting arguments for the sake of it, essentially, because it only takes one idiot to go around just trying to piss people off by rating them 0 and them coming back at them being like, well, you rate me 0, blah, 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 all this kind of stuff.
It'd be like people trolling.
Basically, it's a troll site. And
then also, let's say someone broke up with someone and they still got them on social media, it would be like, romantically 0. And it's like, nice.
Yeah, it seems like it's shots fired, the social network.
Exactly.
This is stupid.
It's stupid, and I really hope it doesn't kick off. Well,
I hope it does kick off, because I'm sure there's going to be a ton of images from this site of people just being stupid and ignorant.
Oh, there'll be great threads of this on Tumblr and Reddit.
I can imagine.
It's going to be great.
I can imagine.
I just don't want people rating me on there, because I don't care.
Forget them, just ignore it.
Yeah.
Just ignore it. That's the best way to deal with trolls, guys. Ignore them. No matter how nasty someone is to you, just ignore them.
Yeah.
Because they can't do anything. They're children, remember? There's two
really
things
are.
that children want in life. It's attention and praise.
Yeah.
Trolls are exactly the same.
It's very true.
Exactly the same. Right, so that rounds off the stories. We don't really have a discussion to talk about this podcast, but the one thing we do going to talk about is the fact that it is, as mentioned at the beginning of the podcast, the dark month, as Halloween is coming up within a couple of days. So we just wanted to kind of talk about our plans for October or Halloween. Whether you guys have plans, you can come in and share them or whatever. But, we're just going to quickly talk about some of the stuff, which we'll probably be talking about maybe more in greater detail on either one of our channels or within the next 1 or 2 podcasts. And I think only 2 will be up in October. But, so, do you have any plans this upcoming, like, October? What is... How are you staying spooky? I guess that's what we could call it.
I like that.
I just thought of that.
How I'm staying spooky. Usually Halloween, it depends on whether...
It doesn't have to be just the night, but all through October.
Usually involves lots of horror films, because I absolutely love horror, been watching since a kid. Doing that. Probably looking at, like, really creepy stuff, like, not... I'm gonna have to rephrase. Creepy stuff like, creepypasta kind of stuff, or, like... monster kind of stuff.
Stay away from those sites, kids.
You got to be careful when you say stuff. It's too easy.
God, the last thing I want to be giving you another nickname on this podcast, aka "Hey You Behind the Bushes." But
oh no, it's gonna be like, I'm gonna look at some creepy stuff. Ace 2015.
Yeah, I don't want to see no tag about this one local kid from London that's been doing, as he calls it, creepy stuff. He's been terrorizing the local children and girls, doing, as he calls, creepy stuff. Oh boy, that sounds like a film plot.
Oh no, we need to make this film.
A short film.
It would be called How You Staying Spooky.
Staying Spooky. But,
with Ace.
So what else do you have, like, planned? Is there any, like, traditions you do other than those 2 mentioned?
Depending on if any of my friends for a Halloween party or not, I usually get a bunch of snacks, get some alcohol, either some rum, because I love that stuff, or some beers, and I watch horror films with my brother. And we will watch some of the dumbest stuff, some of the, like, best stuff, and it will just go on for, like, most of the evening, till early hours in the morning.
Cool.
And it's always enjoyable, and we notice some dumb stuff every time.
It's a fun time. I mean, personally, I'll kind of just elaborate on how I'm staying spooky this October. My family does not celebrate Halloween, so therefore I've never trick-or-treated or done anything significant for the day. So I'm always kind of like an outsider looking in to some extent, but it doesn't mean... I do watch occasional horror films, and there's a few things I do like to somewhat partake in, like a few examples being a few of my YouTubers. They will do certain like months dedicated to October, or a few examples being the YouTuber Vash12349. He is currently doing his Spooktober, where he's playing a few scary games. We also have the 2 best friends, or the best friends Zaibatsu, aka under the YouTube name The Switcher. They do this is the 4th year they've been doing this series, being the Shitstorm.
I love
number
that
4, which is essentially a fairly long video dedicated to one horror film. You will discover a lot about horror films you knew and didn't know about. And then you also have James Rolfe, who is better known as the Angry Video Game Nerd, does his Cinemassacres, what do you call it? I always forget the name of it.
Horror Nights, is it?
No, it's not. It's not Horror Nights. It's Monster Madness.
Monster Madness.
He's been doing this for like about 8 years now.
Yeah.
And he's doing the 9th one titled Monster Madness 9. And he always looks at very interesting horror films. And if you are a fan of the Angry Video Game Nerd himself, I applaud you to go look at his actual movie reviews, because he is a fantastic movie reviewer. He's brilliant in both kind of aspects. But as opposed from that, the only other things I really do, other than watching the scarier films, watching darker things, is obviously going to the MCM London Comic Con, which is toward the end. And on Halloween night, I do, throughout most of the month, I do watch something that is slightly more nostalgic, either Goosebumps or Are You Afraid of the Dark. Sometimes I watch Tales from the Crypt. Just watching an episode or 2 every day for now, which I haven't quite started doing yet on account of being busy. But on the other side, we may have a certain video planned going up on the channel. Now, there's going to be a lot of videos uploaded as of October, but they won't necessarily be spooky for some extent. So there may be a gameplay video to do with scariness, or maybe even let's play. We'll keep it on the low. Keep it on the low. And
tell your friends.
Possibly another video or few videos themed around Halloween. I'm particularly talking to a particular person to get their input in it. But that is just future plan. I mean, the month is still young. We still have 31 days. Well, not 31 days left.
Are we on the 4th or 5th?
Well, yeah, we're on the... Well, you'll be listening to this from the 5th.
Okay.
But we still have a good 25, 26 days left of the month. So enjoy it. Get spooky.
Definitely. Get spooky, stay spooky.
True
with
words.
Ace.
Huh?
With Ace.
With Ace, doing creepy things.
Exactly.
So, that was kind of our little kind of talk about October, as soon as it's just gone October. So, we're kind of at the end, so we're going to end it as we always do. But before we do that, we have the video of the week, and I'm going to throw two at you this time. So, kind of linking into me talking about Nickelodeon and its Splat Block, talking about, cartoons and shows from their library from the 90s. We have the Kenan and Kel Reunite for the Good Burger sketch, which was on Jimmy Fallon's Tonight Show. Great 7-minute sketch. Actually see those guys back kind of doing the sketch. Really just nice.
I loved it. It was amazing.
Really nice to see. It's worth a watch. Even if you don't know about Good Burger, it's worth either just go watch the movie, go watch an episode on YouTube or something like that, and then go watch the sketch. I think most people know Kenan and Kel from Kenan and Kel's show, which was a great show. If you don't know of that show, watch it as well.
Yeah, definitely. Grab some orange soda as you watch it.
Yes, definitely do that. You can't have it without it. And the other one, which is going to be a song, which I would just like to get out there more because it was brilliant, and is the fact that JonTron has released a full cover of his Fireworks song by Katy Perry, which I will link, which is a SoundCloud link. If it has been put on YouTube, I'll link that version. But that'll be the two I'm linking this time. But as for that, we are pretty much done.
Yeah, I'd love to say that JonTron, he did a great cover. I think very amazing.
Yes, which is good. So I guess we'll wrap up this podcast like we always do. This was podcast episode 20. I am the Angry Raccoon,
and I am Ace, the creepy stuff.
Creepy Mr. And we'll see you in the next one.
Auf Wiedersehen.
Alright, later. Bye, guys.